So here we have a brand new fragrance released by Floris London. This one is called Platinum 22. It's a 2022 release, and I'm excited to tell you all about this fragrance and the inspiration behind it and what it's a dedication for, so make sure to stay tuned. Before I begin today's video and I tell you all about Platinum 22 by Floris London, brand new fragrance, what it's inspired by, and what it's a dedication for, I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I do upload videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you take something of value from today's episode and also from this channel in general. So here is a fragrance by the brand Floris London. So as it turns out, back in 2013, the Floris London perfumery team was invited to Buckingham Palace, where the Queen was celebrating a coronation festival, and they were inspired by all of the beautiful flowers in bloom and the flora of her lush gardens. And so here's a fragrance to celebrate Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee. And so just came out. It has a lot of really interesting ingredients in here. There's black tea, there's pepper, there's orris, there's violet, there's rose. It's an amber fragrance. There's also cedarwood and tonka bean in the base. You also have a little bit of citrus sprinkled in the opening, but it's really more about those warm tones. And there's also the unique note of oat in this fragrance. So pretty cool note breakdown. I'm excited to tell you about this fragrance and how it evolved on my skin, but let's go ahead and start things off with the presentation. So right in the opening of this fragrance, you can tell there's a certain richness about it. And even though it's a fragrance that is inspired by the flora of Her Majesty's garden and, you know, all the beautiful flowers that were in bloom during that coronation festival that I mentioned, there's actually so much more happening in here than just flowers. There is rose, there is iris. You do have a lot of floral ingredients, and they certainly work their magic in the heart of this fragrance. But right away, I got something warm from this fragrance, something warm and also slightly sweet. So that's when I said, oh, hold on, there's something resinous, there's something balsamic. Is this an amber? And then I looked at the note breakdown. There's actually not only amber, but tonka bean as well. So included within the amber, I'm sure you also have a little bit of vanilla. So it does have this rich and creamy and warm base that is also a little spicy at times. And so you have the black pepper in the heart, you have the tonka bean and the amber in the base, and it is balsamic. So there is definitely something resinous about it, maybe a little bit of benzoin, maybe a little bit of labdanum, but you also definitely get a touch of vanilla, but it's not stronger than the tonka bean. The tonka bean is really what lends this fragrance a certain creaminess, and it's funny because that combination of the oat and the orris kind of gives this fragrance a bit of a starchy appearance, if you will, or a starchy smell. And when you think of iris, right? Sometimes it has a lipsticky smell, sometimes it can be waxy. It's neither one, but there's a certain starchy quality about it that I think is achieved in combination with that oat in the beginning. It's really interesting, and it's something that I haven't really smelled in too many other fragrances. Now, in terms of that spicy kick, it's entirely happening from the black pepper. I don't think there's any cardamom or nutmeg or saffron or any other of these spices in here, so to speak. And so I am getting a little bit of black pepper, but again, like the spice is barely noticeable, and you're not even going to pick up on it until you look at the note breakdown, because mostly what you're going to get is this tonka bean and amber combination with these accents of rose, accents of violet, accents of orris, and maybe a little bit of like a clary sage, just like a bright aromatic component. You know, just trying to think about what other fragrances I have in my collection that I would compare this one to. Honestly, the only ones that are coming to mind, believe it or not, I think it would fall under the same category, or it's in the same family as fragrances like Gris Chanel by BDK Parfum, or even Santal Complète by Fragrance du Bois. So it's kind of in that same family, but it definitely does its own thing. It has its own unique personality that I really enjoy. And the fragrance has a lot of interesting ingredients that you don't necessarily see in combination with one another. Like the tea is usually coupled with a bunch of citrus. That's not happening here. The black pepper is usually, in the perfumes that I've tried, is coupled with other spicy ingredients. I don't see that here, right? And so it's interesting to see that this fragrance kind of took its own direction to achieve this overall creamy, slightly sweet, yet sophisticated vibe that also has a little bit of that floral personality. And so one thing that I would like to add to the whole narrative of, them being inspired by the Queen's Garden is not only did they capture the flowers that are in the Queen's Garden, but also the warmth and the personality and the cheerful nature of those who were in attendance on that day. And so it kind of is a harmony of the smells, but also the aura and the ambiance that was, exuded or portrayed by the people who were in attendance. So I'm personally a fan of this fragrance. I think given that floral component, in addition to the warmth of the vanilla, the tonka bean, and the amber accord, that makes this fragrance that much more versatile. And so it's the kind of fragrance that I can not only see myself wearing in the hotter weather, on account of the tea and the florals, but I can also see myself wearing this in the colder weather, maybe not in the dead of winter, but I can see this one working well if you over apply too. So, it's one of those, fragrances that are quite versatile, but they also differ from other versatile fragrances in my collection. And so I really like that they were able to do that. And so you have something really interesting happening here with Platinum 22 by Floris London. If you have the opportunity to sample this fragrance, I would highly recommend it. I think I'm just going to leave a link to the official website down below. That's probably the most reliable source at the moment, but if you see it in department stores, give it a sniff, right? There's a lot happening in here, and just go into it with a very open mindset, expecting it, I guess, supposed to be an amber fragrance, but it does a lot of other interesting things in here too. So I hope you like it. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, like I said, it's kind of in the same family as Gris Chanel by BDK Parfum and Santal Complète by Fragrance du Bois, but it still does its own thing, and it has other ingredients that kind of paint a similar picture. So it's not exactly like any other fragrance that I've tried. Still possesses a certain element of uniqueness, and I think it's a really cool fragrance, very well done from Floris. I have a lot of fragrances from the House of Floris, like Honey Oud and many others, too many to name, Turnbull and Oser, many fragrances that I love to wear, and this is another one that I think is a solid release. Also, one of the more versatile fragrances from the brand. In terms of the longevity on this fragrance, 8 hours on my skin. Projection was great for the first hour of application, started to sit closer to the skin at that 5-hour mark. Versatility is great, perfectly unisex. Anybody of any age can wear this one. You can wear this one probably formally. I think it's above $300 retail, like $310. And so I don't know if this is a fragrance you would necessarily want to wear casually unless, your budget allows for that, but versatile nonetheless. And in terms of the presentation, I do like the box. There's also a sleeve or an outer sleeve that this box goes inside, and a little card on the inside that, gives you a description of the inspiration of the fragrance. So I like that they put that attention to detail when it comes to their presentation. My final verdict on this fragrance is, if you are looking for a slightly sweet and slightly creamy amber-based fragrance with some really nice florals, not overdone, but present in the heart, also a fragrance that's coming from a reputable brand with a pretty cool story behind it, a story of nobility and opulence, definitely check out Platinum 22 by Floris London. I hope you have the opportunity to sample this fragrance soon. Thank you for joining me today. That was my review of Platinum 22. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it, hit that bell so you can be notified whenever I do upload future videos to this channel, and go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. It would really, really, really mean a lot to me. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.